Hello everybody, this is Simon with another video for Dectilon's Hard Games thread of his own game, Mega Man Dongs. Why am I starting from the beginning? Well, this is the very first version that Dectilon posted, because in the one I'm using for all the other videos, there is a certain problem in Oyster Man stage. Mostly none of the enemies spawn, except for a very select few ones, making it kind of a boring experience and not exactly worth showing off. So I'm just starting a new file here, and you're not losing much in terms of showing off the weapons or anything, because there is little opportunity to do so, as this is a shoot 'em up. Thank you, Eddie, for demonstrating that touching the walls will indeed kill you instantly, Gradius style. So when I first saw this level and how it was playing out, I was very worried, because we all know that Dectilon loves to play shoot 'em ups, and very hard ones at that. So when I saw that he had designed a shoot 'em up level, and knowing that I was very bad at those kinds of games, I thought that this would be completely impossible to to play through, especially as this was the stage I first tried out. Turns out that it's actually not that bad. As you could see already, there is not like the enemies don't get spammed or anything on the screen. And for example, here you can take out a lot of the challenge by killing the cannons early. I don't know if this was intentional or if Decti just overlooked this when playtesting himself, because usually you cannot do that in Gradius, I think. But generally, none of this is really egregiously hard or anything. It definitely requires a little practice, but I was able to get through it far sooner than I thought it would take me, and that's actually a good thing. This, for example, is kind of a bad position to be in, because if you go quick after the three-way cannon, then you will run into the big one, and then if you do not go quickly beside that one and lower, then the other one will hit you. This section too is pretty easy to get hit in, because you have to use a little feature that the rushed marine has, and that is if you press your jump button, then you will get a little boost. This top path here is the one I always take, because the bottom one has an instant death. You can see it just there at the bottom, and I do not like this at all, but fortunately you can choose your poison here and everything is dandelions. This looks like a trap, and it is one. I love this mug bullet. Definitely made me laugh the first time I saw it. This section here is pretty interesting, and it is also very fun trying to figure out how to get through it without getting hit overly much. The way you trigger the fish and to spot the safe zones is actually kind of engaging, and it usually takes me 3 or 4 tries to get a really good route off. Sadly enough, I only die exactly once here, so I can't practice it really, but I think the point gets across easily enough. You have to activate the fish early on if you don't want them to be a trouble at all, and if they're just standing still, you can try to snipe them. Like so. Patience is a virtue, and it's actually very nice in that the lattice of electricity, don't know, doesn't instantly kill you. There is a pretty nasty trap down at the bottom, as you just saw, but it is still very survivable, because it is staggered pretty nicely with how the electricity works, and generally this is not bad at all. And we have a little mini boss at the end. The challenge here is basically always watching out for where the big shots are coming from after you dodge the small ones, and you will often have to use your boost here, but that's all fair and fine. I like how they are staggered so that one is slightly in front of the other, so you cannot hit both of them at once. And when you kill one, the other goes a little apeshit, but all in all, pretty well designed, pretty simple to do, but relatively hard to execute. I like it. This section here I'm not too fond of. It is very obvious what you have to do. You have to stand at the railing and not jump in the bottom, because there is a little unexpected cause of slowdown. But generally you stand there, let the wave pass, otherwise it will instant kill you, yeah, of course. But this is nothing to write home about really. The only problem is the missiles coming out of nowhere, and don't think that is fun at all. You more or less have to know when they are coming, or you will just jump into them if you keep going on. And so this forces a death if you're not very perceptive and very careful, but you can't be careful because the waves are coming. All in all, I'm kind of iffy on that, and most of the time you're doing nothing more than just jumping over platforms with water physics, which makes it easier. And I feel as the level is pretty long already, it doesn't really need to be here. In fact, it could be in Mega Manatee, because then you would be underground, underwater, deep underwater in Oyster Man all the time, which is where you start and where you end up in this segment. And Mega Manatee only has a very relatively short wave bike segment, so just a little suggestion. So this part here is also really fun because the auto scroll for once doesn't hinder your movement. If you keep holding going to the right, then you will actually force it to scroll on if it is actually slower than you. And this is a very good thing, because this way you only have the pressure coming from it behind, and you don't have to wait around stupidly. The fish are placed intelligently in such a way that the missiles, as they are spawning, will impede your charge shot sometimes, so you have to be really careful about what you do. Sometimes though, if you go too fast, it will break the spawning of the fish and the missiles, so sometimes the missiles that are just meant to be a little distraction will end up hurting you in ways that you really did not expect and that were obviously not planned. But it's a minor complaint. Overall, this is a very good one. The only problems I potentially have with it is that I cannot regulate my jump height really well, but as you could see here, I didn't die at all. So there's that. Oyster Man is kind of a strange fight in my opinion. It is pretty clear what you have to do when he jumps around, and then he does this. I think when he hits you in this phase, it triggers random effects, because actually I didn't see the screen shake before at all. Not the first time I did him in this version, and not any time I did him in another version. In fact, when I did him in another version at one time, my controls got sluggish. So yeah, it's kind of a random poison, I guess. And after a certain point, he will automatically, like he just did now, reduce your health to 1 point. Which makes the whole situation pretty tense and requires you that you know how to dodge, but it also completely invalidates the first phase. If you do not die in that one, then there is absolutely no point in even trying to dodge. And yeah, I don't know, I think this could be designed better, even with keeping the 1 health restriction. Maybe he could do it at the start and then you'd be forced to dodge all the time, or I don't know. It's just a little awkward in my opinion. But all in all, the level is pretty well done, pretty fair, as you could see, even though I'm not familiar with shmups, with enough, very hard words, with enough practice, I could do it with dying only twice, so all is fair. Thanks for your attention.